Hello, this is Patricia from patriciafenty.com, and today I have a tutorial on how to crochet this mandala pattern, and it's using mostly a granny square stitch. It is a really beautiful pattern. The increases are done nice and smooth so you don't have any sort of weird shapes where it's wanting to go into an octagon or anything like that. And this is a great project to use up scrap yarn, and you can use these for placemats, for pillows, or you can make it a bit bigger to make it for a tablecloth or a blanket. So I'll show you how to do this where you're using different colors for each round, but I'll also show you how you can carry on crocheting in just one color rather than changing colors for each row. So let's get started. Now, as I said before, this is a great project to use up some scrap yarn. So this is some of the yarn I have in my stash. It's all a number 4 medium weight yarn. It's acrylic and they're all the same weight. So I have a dark teal, a golden color, a cream color, wine, lavender, tan, pink, green, and then I'm using the wine and the teal again. And I'm using a 4mm G6 crochet hook, a darning needle, and some scissors. So we'll start with a slip knot, and if you're new to crochet, I do have my beginner crochet series that shows you everything you need to know to do this project. And basically we're just doing double crochets throughout the entire pattern. So put your loop on your hook and we'll start with a chain 5. And then you'll join to the top loop of your first chain with a slip stitch to create a ring. Now you'll do a chain 3, and that counts as your first double crochet, and then a chain 1 for a chain 1 space. So now we're going to do 11 double crochets into the center of the ring. So yarn over, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and chain 1. And you're going to repeat that 10 more times. So yarn over into the ring, bring the yarn in from behind, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops, and chain 1. So go ahead and do that. So you'll have a total of 12 double crochets, chain 1s, including your beginning chain 3. All right, so coming to the end of round 1, I've just done my last double crochet, chain 1, and so at this point we'll join the round by doing a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3. And here we would fasten off, but if you want to carry on with the same color, and you want to do the motif all in one color, you just chain 3, turn your work, and carry on with the pattern as I'll be showing. So here you'll do 1 double crochet in that first space behind the chain 3, and then chain 1, and then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 1 into the next chain 1 space. And so you just carry on with that same color going all the way around. So, but here we're going to fasten off and we're going to do the same pattern and we're going to join on a new color. So I like to join on a new color by creating a slip knot. And so I'm using the golden yellow here. Put the loop on your hook and flip your work, and we're going to be working into the back, flipping our work for each round. So I like to join on in a couple of spaces before where I fastened off. So put your hook through, grab your yarn from behind, flip the tail over, and do a slip stitch. And that's a nice secure way to join your new color. So now we'll chain 3, and this would be just like your turning chain and counts as your first double crochet, and then the double crochet into that chain 1 space. So that's your first cluster of 2 double crochets, and then chain 1, and then into the next chain 1 space you'll work 2 double crochets and a chain 1, just like that. And we're just going to work that all the way around, doing 2 double crochets, chain 1 into each chain 1 space, and you'll have a total of 12 clusters at the end of this row. Great, so coming to the end of round 2, again you'll join by doing a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of your beginning chain 3, and just bring that yarn through and do a slip stitch. And we're going to be changing colors, so we're going to fasten off here, but again I'll show you how you can go on with the same color. So you would chain 3, turn your work, and then you'll work backwards with the pattern in the same way, always working into this chain 1 space or the space, and that's how you would work the same color for the entire pattern. You'll just chain 3 and turn your work and follow the pattern as directed. So we'll just unravel here and fasten off and pull that through. All right, so turning your work and starting in any chain 1 space, I'm joining on with the cream color and just join on with that slip stitch as before. And then you'll do a chain 3, and you've already turned your work, so we're working in the opposite direction in the back of the work. And if you're working with the one color, that would be your turning chain. So you do 2 double crochets into that chain 1 space, so you have a cluster of 3 double crochets, including your beginning chain 3. Then chain 1, and then do 3 double crochets, chain 1 into the next chain 1 space. And just like that, and then chain 1. And so you're just going to work that all the way around, and you'll have a total of 12 clusters of 3 double crochets, chain 1s in each space. All right, so coming to the end of round 3, you'll have 12 sets of 3 double crochets, and you'll join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3. And you'll be finishing each row in the same way, just like that. And then again, if you wanted to carry on with the same color, you would chain 3, turn your work, and follow the pattern as directed. But we're just going to fasten off here and join on a new color. So turn your work, and just starting in the first chain 1 space before where you fastened off, or any chain 1 space you like, and you just join on with a slip stitch as before, and chain 3, and that counts as your first double crochet. So you'll do 2 more double crochets into that chain 1 space. Again, if you're doing the same color, you would have reversed your work, and you'll be following this exact same stitch. Then you'll chain 2, and then you'll work 4 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. And I'll just speed this up here a little bit. So 4 double crochets into the next chain 1 space and a chain 1. And then you'll work 3 double crochets, chain 1, or sorry, this is chain 2. Sorry, chain 2. And we've gone to chain 2s now. So you'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 4 double crochets, chain 2. And you repeat that all the way around. Great. So coming to the end of round 4, if your count is correct, you'll have done a cluster of 3 double crochets, chain 2, and finished with a cluster of 4 double crochets and chain 2. Then again, you'll join this round by doing a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of your beginning chain 3. So starting to see the pattern here. And we're going to fasten off here. And again, if you're carrying on with the same color, just chain 3 and turn your work and follow the pattern. Now, I've gone ahead and darned in some of my tail ends because they were getting in the way. So I've gone ahead and done that. So now I'm joining on in the back with the lavender. You always turn your work for each round. So join your next color with a slip stitch. And so for round 5, we'll start with a chain 3, and this counts as your first double crochet, and you'll do 3 double crochets into that first chain 2 space. And you'll have a cluster of 4 double crochets, including that beginning chain 3. So then chain 2, and you'll do a set of 4 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. And you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around, doing a cluster of 4 double crochets and chain 2 in each chain 2 space all the way around. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you at the end. Perfect. So coming to the end of round 5, I've just done my chain 2, and we'll join this round just as before. And again, chain 3 and turn your work if you're using just one color. Otherwise, turn your work and join on a new color. So now I'm joining on the tan color and doing that slip knot and going into the chain 2 space just before where I fastened off, and join on with a slip stitch and then chain 3. And so you're turning your work every round, remember that. So now we'll do 3 double crochets into that chain 2 space. So you'll have a total of 4 double crochets in this first chain 2 space, including your beginning chain 3. And then do just a chain 1. And then in the next chain 2 space, you'll do 5 double crochets. So I'll just speed this up here. So 5 double crochets in the next chain 2 space and chain 1. And then 4 double crochets in the next space and a chain 1, and then 5 double crochets in the next space with a chain 1. So just repeat that all the way around. Now coming to the end of this round, this will curl up a little bit, and that's okay. And your last cluster should be a cluster of 5 double crochets and a chain 1, and we'll join this round as before. And again, if you want to carry on with the same color, chain 3 and turn your work. Otherwise, turn your work and join on a new color. So I've joined on with the pink here, and we'll chain 3. And then we'll do 2 double crochets into that chain 1 space. And then chain 1. And now you have this cluster of 4 double crochets, and going in between those 2 double crochets right in the middle, you're going to work a set of 3 double crochets. So right in between those 2 double crochets, work a set of 3 double crochets and a chain 1. And then into the next chain 1 space, you work another cluster of 3 double crochets. And then chain 1. And then in your cluster of 5, you have your middle double crochet. So skip 2 stitches, and going into the 3rd double crochet into the top of that stitch, you'll work a cluster of 3 double crochets and chain 1. And then a set of 3 double crochets in the chain 1 space with a chain 1 in between. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around, where you're working a set of 3 double crochets in between the 2 stitches of the cluster of 4, work into the chain 1 space, and then work another set into the middle double crochet of your cluster of 5. So repeat that pattern all the way around. Okay, so coming to the end of this round, again, you're going to join into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3 with a slip stitch and fasten off. And again, if you're carrying on with the same color, just chain 3 and turn your work. So here we will turn our work and join on a new color. So I have the green that I have joined on, and we'll start with a chain 3. And we're working on round 8. And Then you're going to do 2 double crochets into that first chain 1 space and chain 1, and then you'll work 4 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. And I'll just speed this up a little bit here, and then chain 1, and then 3 double crochets, chain 1 in the next chain 1 space, and then 4 double crochets, chain 1 in the next chain 1 space. So just work that pattern all the way around. And then coming to the end of row 8, you'll either fasten off as before or chain 3 and turn your work. So I've zoomed out a bit here, and so at this point you can make this motif any size that you like. So you could stop here and just do a row of single crochet around the outside, or a row of double crochet or half double crochet, or you can carry on and make this bigger, and you can go ahead and repeat rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can repeat those in various combinations, increasing as you go. And of course, as the circle gets bigger, you're not going to have to increase as frequently. So if you're feeling courageous and brave, you could go ahead and make this an even bigger circle, maybe for a tablecloth or a blanket, and just keep increasing the rows as you go. Now, I do suggest, however, that you do finish off with this row 8 repeat, because we go into the last 2 rounds. That's sort of the finishing round for this motif, or the finishing 2 rounds. All right, so I'm adding the new color here. And again, if you're carrying on, you would just chain 3 and turn your work. But here we're joining on a new color, which is the wine color, and doing a chain 3 and then a double crochet, chain 1 into that next space, and then 2 double crochets into that same chain 1 space. And then chain 1. And then going into the next chain 1 space, you'll repeat that same pattern with 2 double crochets and a chain 1 and 2 double crochets into that same chain 1 space. And then doing a chain 1 in between. So you'll just repeat that all the way around, essentially doing a V-stitch into each of the chain 1 spaces all the way around. So coming to the end of this round, you will fasten off even if you're using just one color, because rather than fastening off as usual, we are going to finish this round with an invisible stitch. I do have a tutorial on how to do this. It's hard to see with this dark color. I'll put a link to that little video tutorial below. So essentially, rather than finishing off with a knot, we're finishing off with this mock stitch. And so we're creating this invisible stitch that we can do our last round into. So again, you can refer to the tutorial on how to do this. Perhaps you know how to do this invisible stitch, but I show it clearly in that tutorial. So we'll just do this mock stitch and then darn in the tail end. Now for the final round, you want to decide which is going to be the good side of your motif. This pattern is reversible because we've been flipping it for each round. So just take a look at your motif and see which side looks the nicest to you. I actually like this side here, which means that my last round, round 9, was the direction where I went in the direction in this way. So I'm not flipping the work, I'm going in the same direction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to join on with your slip knot, keeping your tail to the right, and you can join into any stitch around the outside, and we're going into the back loop only, and you can't really see, so here's a better color. In your last round, you have these V stitches and you have this back or top loop and this front loop. And it's this stitch that we're working into all the way around the top loop. I know you can't see it very well, but I'm explaining it. So going into any one of those top loops and join on with a slip stitch. Just like that. And you can see it's just that top loop. And then you'll do a chain 3. So what we're doing is a row of double crochet all the way around going into that top loop only. You could do a row of half double crochet or a row of single crochet if you like, whatever you like. So going into the next stitch, picking up that top loop, you'll do a double crochet or whatever stitch you like, and then do a double crochet into the top loop of the next stitch. And so you'll just double crochet all the way around, or half double crochet or single crochet, whatever you like. And when you come to your chain 1 spaces, you want to go into the top loop of the chain. You don't go into the space, pick up the top loop of the chain and do your stitch there. And what this does is it creates a nice little ridge between row 9 and row 10. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and then when we're done, we're going to join with that invisible stitch again. All right, here we are at the end of round 10, and I've done my last double crochet, and again we're going to finish off with that invisible join, and that will be the end of this motif. So you can see this better, so I'll go a little more slowly. So I'm going into this stitch just in front of the chain 3, the third chain of the beginning chain 3. I'm going under both loops of that first double crochet, laying the stitch on top of the third chain of the beginning chain 3, and then going back down into the V stitch that the yarn comes out of, and going into the back, and then darning in the tail end into the back. So I'll just finish darning in my tail ends and I'll come back. All right, this is as far as I could zoom the camera out. And so it's all done, and this is quite reversible. You can have it either way. And I really love how this turned out. I love the colors, and the nice thing about flipping the motif back and forth is 2 things. When you're working in continuous rounds, depending on your tension, your work can sometimes become warped and move in that same direction. So by flipping it, you prevent that from happening. But also it creates this really nice ridge in between the rows, which I think is quite nice. And I did create another motif in a solid color, so you can see how it works using a solid color. And I'm going to be using these motifs to make a pillow, which I will be doing in a separate tutorial, and I'll be showing you how to make the pillow form as well. So, and it's interesting, I was more relaxed when I crocheted the first one because my tension for this one is a little bit tighter. So it's a little bit smaller, but that's okay. It'll work out when we make the pillow. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more creative and inspiring videos. We'll see you next time.